it is a moment that we should tell ourselves our story. We should tell our story to the world. We should let the world know where we are as citizens of this country, Nigeria. We should tell the stories based on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We're not talking out of context, but what is in the books and what is practicable in this country to the indigenous people of FCT. We're bringing this to the people so they know when we speak to our struggle and have a better understanding to our issues, especially our younger ones that are coming up that don't really understand the issues that bedevil the people of FCT. Some of them just talk because of what they've heard, either one of their mentor or leader saying, not actually knowing the details as is in the book of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I bring to you Moments with Farida for a better understanding about the issues that bedevil the people of FCT. You're all welcome. We have talked about the problems here. Do you think our peaceful nature is the reason why we're being treated this way? Or there's a section of this country that doesn't want us to get this full autonomy? Or have we been sending wrong representatives to represent us in the National Assembly? Because from what we can all hear, the issues here that really bother us is this Constitution. And the Constitution only gets reviewed in the National Assembly. So does it mean that we've been sending wrong people to represent us?
Some things that have happened, but our representation has been a major problem. We've not had opportunity to tell ourselves the truth, to put people who have been at the forefront of the struggle at the helm of governance, except for a few people like Abdullah Candido here. Because when I was in the university, I used to read your articles and all of that, and some a few of us, because it just happened like it happened in 1999. Most of the people were shouting, calling for democracy. When democracy came, they just became recalcitrant and the politicians took over. So that has been the challenge. Have you people been to Pai? They go to other states to go and access services. You go to Abuja, there's a place where they are still using canoe, they can't have bridge. You go to other places where people are still drinking water from. In this federal capital territory, which is a shame to us and our representatives. So, governance laws, legislative laws, and all of that, we need to do that, including our municipal laws. When we elect councillors, for example, do we also ask our councillors what they've been doing? Because they also have some municipal powers to do one or two laws, bylaws. But we ourselves, we have been sleeping on duty, so we need to wake up and see how we can do. So it's not a blame for everybody, like for one person. The thing is that even if you elect someone who is an outsider, sometimes you may be lucky that the person will be sympathetic and understand your cause better. There are some people, they had raised an alarm, including former ministers, that look, most of the bills that is sent to the National Assembly are not treated. The bills for the good governance of the FCT, they are not totally treated. But other things, municipal legislations that have to do with us, in one way or the other, they are not being done because National Assembly is overburdened. And then the president too is also overburdened with the issues of the nation. What time does he have to be doing all this FCT? So, for Piera of all the leaders of this world, coalition and all of that, it's true that they took a look at it. And because of the government's own inconsistencies, whereby we had by 1917, when the government saw the bill for the total relocation of FCT, it was 2.8 billion naira. And then federal government was budgeting like 300, 400 million in a year. So if you want to relocate everybody, after those committee reports came, Professor Akimabo Uje's committee report, and then that from ABU, it was too burdensome. So by 1978, Obasanjo just said, let there be a new decree. Instead of total evacuation of everyone, we are going to change policy that you will be where you are, but you only move if the land where you are is needed for public building. That's why you see communities where you have National Assembly, then good enough. Where your National Assembly building was where Honorable Zafania Chisalo's father used to farm, who is now the Minister of Special Duties and all of that. There used to be a road there that follows through to Kefi and all of that as well. So as the lands were being taken from there, they will have to relocate you. And so that's why you have the New Maitama, you have Kukwa and all of that, Kukwaba that was relocated from the National Stadium, Berkiri and all of that and so on. Now, in everything that you have seen here, you see that our people are better off in terms of, the minor quality of life, the basic things that we used to. Because in those years, we were the extreme end of the states that we were. Yes. Extreme end of Plateau State, extreme end of Kwara, extreme end of Niger. So if you needed something, northwestern, north central state was called northwestern state. So you would have to go so far before you needed it. So yes, by the coming of the FCT, our people, though were lackadaisical at the beginning, but
the conversation. We have spoken a lot here, and we will love to hear from the audience. We'll throw one or two questions to the audience, and let's hear their opinion, their position, what they know, what they have gone through, what they have been able to do to help the good people of FCT. I want to give the mic to Honorable Adamu Candido, the immediate past chairman of Amak Area Council. He has been in the struggle for our agitation. He has been in the fight, not just the struggle. He's been fought, he has fought to our issues. Honorable Candido, my question goes to you, and this is what I have to ask you.
Philip Aduda, I may not be his supporter, but you have raised fundamental things that he has done for us here. That which I may not have done. That which so many may not have also done. You like his face, you don't like his face. These are things that he was able to do for us. And how many years did he spend in the National Assembly? Roughly maybe 8 years or 12. Compared to 48 years of someone who spent in the National Assembly and delivered for his people what they have been advocating. Mrs. Farida, this platform should come up with issues and reasons. Let's have sense of reasoning among the people of FCT. That whoever is going to present us at the National Assembly this time around must be people who have the voice, not passive listeners. Not people who just go and be dumb and deaf. Only wasting our time and resources at the National Assembly. You have people like Comrade Ezekiel. He may be son of nobody. He has a voice. Send him there. Let him learn from the ropes left behind by Senator Aduda. Indeed, even send Aduda back. It is not all about how many years he has spent there. No. It is all about what is he going to get back for us. So that our children tomorrow can have a bearing and even call themselves Nigerians. So in a nutshell, I think this is the little I may say.
Honorable Candido, I will cut you short.
That was a very simple thing. So what I'm asking now, do they have the FCT at heart? Oh, it's personal gains. That answer is from Daddy.
Refer to the FCT. No, absolutely. We, from the civil society perspective, believe that the Nigerian state has really not been fair to the people of the FCT. And that is why some of us from other parts of Nigeria, I'm also from Edo State, we have been very much interested in this advocacy. And one way we have contributed to the advocacy is to internationalize the struggle. Because the presenter talked earlier on about all the visits that the Agoda panel visited abroad. The FCT struggle, we believe strongly, has to be linked to the struggles of the indigenous people in the other parts of the world. And that's why when in 2023 we had the opportunity to take some FCT indigenous organization to the United Nations Human Rights Council in Switzerland. What we were trying to do essentially is to say you cannot merely sit in Nigeria and advocate. You also have to link up with other indigenous stories in other parts of the world. And then you also need the institutions of the international community to bring the pressure to bear on our leaders, because many of our leaders, it is when something is trending internationally that they begin to pay attention. So I believe that that is one aspect of the struggle that we need to really work on. I also have my colleague here, Comrade Tijani Abdul Karim, who, we all,
We're bringing this to the people so they know when we speak to our struggle and have a better understanding to our issues, especially our younger ones that are coming up that don't really understand the issues that bedevil the people of FCT. Some of them just talk because of what they've heard, either one of their mentor or leader saying, not actually knowing the details as is in the book of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I bring to you moments with Farida for a better understanding about the issues that bedevil the people of FCT. You're all welcome.
Now, before the coming of the Federal Capital Territory, if you needed something to be done from Abuja, you will need to go to Kwara State, Ilorin, to go and meet with the governor, or military governor, whatever it was called. And if you were in my own part of the FCT Caro, you would have to go to Plateau State, Jos, and all of that. And if you're in that Buhari axis and all, so it was a tough situation, including some issues that would need to go to Lagos. You know how far Lagos is and all of that. I mean, transport is not so easy like it is. So when our people had heard, our fathers, our mothers and all of that had heard that the FCT was going to come around, it was a relief for our people. Because we're under the subjugation also of the Emirates system. And then of course, you know that the large chunk of FCT came from where? Niger State, about 76%. And so Niger State had its own issues. You know, they donated the name to us now, Abuja. Where you call Suleja now, it's actually called Abuja and all of that. And so it was usually a challenge for us. And so our people were subjugated and all of that. But when there was this talk of the FCT coming, and then of course, the initial thing was that everybody was going to be cleared from here. Yeah, our people didn't really like it, but of course, our fathers stood, and there was this organization called FETIA, Federal Territory Indigenous Association, which stood, it was the
vote for us. They didn't vote for us. What is our offense today? Why are they thinking that giving us this opportunity will take something away from them?
Exercising the governors, the powers of the governors. Because on the day Nigerians go to elect a president, they are not just electing a president. Our president has two titles, two executive titles. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the governor of the Federal Capital Territory. But they try to hide that second one for us and just say, no. He holds those two titles. So, and then because of that, we'll be having challenges. Someone will then go to court and challenge Federal Capital Development Authority, Okoyede versus FCD. That was the court, and it's a locus classicus, that's how the lawyers call it. And what did the court of appeal, when it got to the federal, he did a contract with FCD, and FCD said they were not going to pay him this and that. They had challenges. He took the matter to court, and they said that because they are a federal body, that they have to go through certain processes and all of that. It was a challenge. He said no, that the FCDA is like a state development authority. FCDA said no, you don't really understand, because there's something that's called the FCT Act. How many of us know it? That's what's being used to govern us. The FCT Act, which was amended in 2004 by Executive Order 1 of 2004 by Malam Nasser El-Rufai and Obasanjo before they went, when they restructured it. Now they went to court, and eventually the court ruled in the favor of that person that look, FCDA is just like any other entity in a state. That's why you have the Abuja Environmental Protection Board. By then, we also had what was called the Federal Environmental Protection Authority, FEPA. So he now said, AEPB and FEPA, why did, if the federal government, if FCDA was like the federal government institution, why did the federal government create FCDA, create AEPB and FEPA? So he said, no, AEPB is like a state authority, and then FEPA is a federal authority. When it comes to Abuja matters, Abuja should be treated distinctly as a state, and that's why the Constitution says the president should be the governor. But when it comes to other issues, the president can continue to. So, and because of that, we've been having lots of interpretation politically based on who it fits. But in 2003, Obasanjo started sympathizing with us after the Solomon Ebuga report of 2000, which remains unimplemented, which carved out the FCC from the FCT and all of that. The ahead of 2003, we then go on to appoint Malam Nasir El-Rufai, and they took some of the things cognizance, and then they said, okay, look, these people are actually in states, but let's continue to see how we can manage them. And then they started giving us ambassador just like other states have. And by then it was difficult for us to even apply for JAM. Yeah, some of us will not know. If you apply for JAM for your son or for yourself in those days, there's no column for FCT.
Yes.
And then some of us started agitations. We go to court. Court now ruled and said, look, we're a component part of the federation. And then the constitutional amendment will be calling for the president to hand over the powers of a governor to us, and then for the National Assembly to hand over the powers to a state, an elected state assembly. Please permit me before you ask the next question. Let me tell you why. Because Abuja was modeled after Canberra in Australia. When that committee was set up, Justice Akinola with a panel report, they went to 3 places. Canberra in Australia, Brasilia in Brazil, and then Islamabad in Pakistan. Yeah, New Delhi, they had wanted to, but they just passed through it, but they didn't really get to sit down and talk with people in New Delhi, because New Delhi was the capital of, was not the new capital of India. But these 3 places, including having an oversight visit to Washington, D.C., gave an insight. Now, let's look at where we are now in these other places. In Australia, Canberra, the capital of Australia, has what's called the Australia Capital Territory. In the Australia Capital Territory, they have their own House of Assembly. The House of Assembly, they elect 3 senators, 3 House of Rep members, 2 senators that they send to the Commonwealth. Now the Commonwealth is the National Assembly. In Washington, D.C., what's happening? They have a Washington District Council. The Washington District Council has 13 members. 13 members, how do they get to that 13 members? There are 8 that are elected. There are 8 districts in Washington, D.C. Don't mind our own, we have like about 74 districts. We have only developed like about 12, 13 right now. So, but for each of those districts, like for example, you have Gwarimpa district, they're supposed to have one. You have Wuse district, all like that, and so on. They're supposed to have. But in Washington, D.C., because it's even much more smaller than Abuja, they have 8 districts. So each of those districts, they elect one person. That's how many? 8. And then there are 5 that are appointed as members of that myriad based on contributions to the development of the place, based on the powers of the president and all of that. So they have a 13-member council, and one of them is made the chairman. And then, of course, they go ahead to have their legislation, they do everything. But there's a caveat there. Any law that they pass and all of that will still be oversighted by the Congress. It's the same thing in Islamabad and all of that. So why haven't we over the years, if we are truly a democratic country that believes in the internal democracy that we're in, why haven't we have a capital territory for Abuja, an assembly for Abuja? So these are the issues, because what we are operating right now is a carryover of the military, a military contraption most of the things that the government itself said it was going to do for us, it didn't do. And I spoke with a former senior special assistant to the president of National Assembly, Italian Senator Italian. He's my friend, very good friend. I mean, all that's over the years. And he's a lawyer, very sound lawyer, and all of that. And during the Buhari years, I mean, he told me, he says, all the states creation, people are shouting and all of that. There's a certain level we can't allow you to have it. Because we're afraid that if we give you some level of statehood, that you people don't like APC. You will go and be electing PDP. So how will a PDP person be a governor in FCT and be challenging a sitting president as APC and all of that? And I said, no, you people need to grow up as Democrats. Grow above those kind of things and protection. So in a nutshell, the constitutional review thing has been on. We tried severally to bring in 2011. There was People's Public Session. There was, how many of us went to that session in Abuja Town Hall? Zafania Chisalo was an honorable member then. Tambua had sympathy for us, but it didn't scale through. 2015, Senator Aduda tried. We went round by 2016. I mean, it was a serious thing. Fortunately, we won in the in the Senate, but House of Reps, we did not have the majority. And of course, by 2019, we started again, and it wasn't so much. So it's an ongoing conversation. How can there be one part of the country that's totally undemocratic? You pay your what's it called, your taxes, but you don't know who works on your taxes. Somebody, I mean, like we have the minister now from nowhere comes around, or you have maybe he's trying, the other person does, we may not try, or different sentiments. So it's left to us whether to continue this way or to democratize the FCT. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, we'll go on and on and on before you know 8 o'clock will meet us again. It's very educative, very incisive, very knowledgeable. A lot of us don't know a lot he has said here, I'm very sure, especially my contemporaries and those behind us. But those in front of the bench here know exactly what Sumner is talking about. Here we go, the journey from 1976 and 76. We're in 2025. How far have we come as a people of this country? Have we been treated fairly? I'm sure you run away from this question because of the present position you occupy.
No, I mean,
as a journalist.
That's why, I'm my job.
The Nigerian states been fair to the good people of FCT that has ceded their ancestral land? What is development for all Nigerians?
All right, I'm not going to tell you yes or no. I'm going to lay the facts for you, and then you choose to decide whether we'll be treated fairly or not. Now, when Lagos was the capital, by 1967, there was a Lagos state that was created with Mobolaji Johnson being put in place. So Lagos was operating both as a capital for the country and then, of course, as a state. Is it the same thing that's happening?
No, absolutely.
And then, people then were given opportunities to elect federal representatives and state representatives, municipal representatives, that's at local government levels. So, is it the same thing that's happening here?
No.
Well, maybe fairly, because we can elect our councillors, local government chairmen. Well, just keep the state, but we can elect House of Assembly, House of Reps, and then Senate. And then another thing to put before you is that there's what's called the law of proportional representation in the National Assembly. What does that law say in the Constitution? It says clearly that when the population of a place begins to increase, that INEC shall work together with the National Population Commission to ascertain the growth level and then increase the representation seats for those people. So that's to say that if FCT was like 3 million before, as at 2000, and now we're like, let's just say 7 million, it means that we should no longer have, how many House of Rep members? Two representing the FCT. So that based on proportional representation, since election into the House of Rep is based on population, the number of seats should be increased to reflect the population. And you and I know that with all the crises that we've been seeing happening, lots of people, the influx into Abuja has expanded. Our schools can't contain, our hospitals are overstretched and all of that and so on. So that means what? More money should be pumped into Abuja, more seats should be given to Abuja, and all of that. Is that what is happening? And then, of course, the issues of representation. What's governance all about? Democracy is a government of the people, for the people, by the people. Now, if there's a certain level to which you cannot be allowed to elect a representative, then it means you're being shut down. Because the thing is that everybody comes or claims a state in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But when it comes to the issue of FCT, there's a dicey situation. And I want to open up the judgment. This is the judgment of the Supreme Court. I'm sorry, I just want to read out something to you. What the Supreme Court said. That's in the last election.
That's 2023 election.
Yeah, 2023. So it says, I'll just take it from a bridge. It says, this means that section 134, subsection 2 of the same constitution requiring a presidential candidate that section talks about a presidential candidate having to pull at least 1/4 of the vote cast into thirds. So you must have, the vote cast, that 24 states out of 36 states and all of that. And then, of course, the issues of 25%. So it says, this means that section 134, 2, subsection B of the same constitution requiring a presidential candidate to pull at least 1/4 of the votes cast into thirds of the states of the federation in order to be returned elected means nothing more that the Federal Capital Territory shall be taken into account in calculating the set to 2/3 of the states of the federation. In other words, the FCT is no more than one of the states of the federation for the purpose of that calculation. Nothing more than that can be implied or inferable from section 134, subsection 2B of the Constitution. And it goes on to say, if anything, this position is confirmed in the case of Bakari versus Ogundipe 2021 Nigeria Week Law Report, where it said by the Apex Court that, quote, by virtue of the provisions of the section 299 of the Constitution, which says that FCT shall be deemed like one of the states. This is what it said. It is so clear that the Federal Capital of Nigeria has the same status of state. It is as if it is one of the states of the federation. End of quote. And it now says, and Ibori versus Uboru 2009 6 Nigeria Weekly Law Report, where it was confirmed by this court that, quote, the Federal Capital Territory Abuja is to be treated like a state by virtue of section 299 of the 1999 Constitution. If the Federal Capital Territory Abuja is to be treated like any other state, then it is not superior to or inferior to any other state in Nigeria. Yes. Please take note of that. Yes. What did he say? He said it is to be treated like any other state, and then it is not superior to or inferior to any other state in Nigeria. So what does that mean? So that's why I said you'll be the one to answer the question. Is FCT being treated as a superior status? No. Is he also being treated as an inferior status? Yes. So why? But this is the Supreme Court speaking. And let me just conclude here. This is what the judge said. In conclusion, I hold without any equivocation that in a presidential election, polling 1/4 or 25% of total votes cast in the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja is not a separate precondition for a candidate to be deemed as duly elected under section 134 of the Constitution. In consequence, issue number 4 is also resolved against the petitioners and in favor of responding. So, in that, because I follow this very keenly, at least for the purpose of emphasis, this is it, so that you don't say I'm copying. This is exactly what was wrote. So, in other words, we got a definitive judgment by saying that, the other political party, opposition political parties were saying that FCT that the votes of FCT should be treated separately. That before you win the presidential election, if you get to third, 25% in other states, then you must get a different 25% in FCT. But what the court now ruled and said, no, you can add that FCT own into the required 24 states. So if you have FCT plus 23, you're good and right, because FCT It's like a state. It's a state. And all of that. It's not superior nor inferior. Those other people who asked for the prayers were saying the FCT was superior. That if you have 24 and you don't have FCT votes, there's a problem. The court now said no, FCT votes are not superior. FCT votes shall be like all others. And by then, FCT too, in doing that, should not be treated as an inferior. So that means there's something that's wrong. The Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, they've all ruled that, look, we are a state. And the Constitution says we have 3 organs of state. What makes a state in Nigeria?
Judiciary, executive, and legislative.
In FCT, they say we have judiciary. Well, the thing is that judiciary, we have it, but legislature is being held on our behalf, and then executive is being held on our behalf. So we are saying that FCT has matured.
For me, let's look and take the best hands that we think can watch, can look into their eyes and tell them the bold truth, can look into their conscience and tell them enough is enough. Not someone that wants to go and share the national cake. At this point, as far as I'm concerned, FCT natives should not be thinking of that national cake. We should be thinking of how we will go extinct. The rate at which we're going on a daily basis, our farms are being taken, our homes are being taken. Where is the status? Where is our rights? Where do they want us to go to? What do they want us to do? The truth is, this is an injury, this is gross marginalization, this is unfair, this is unjust. Our rights, we have been dehumanized. As human beings, we have been dehumanized. As citizens, we should look at it. Other Nigerians, especially our northern brothers, look at it. How will you feel if this is being done to you? When we go to vote in the National Assembly, most of them are the reasons why we lose those votes.
Together to speak with one single voice. So the very moment that we begin to see how we can speak with one voice, you don't actually have to occupy a political office or be a state actor to fight for the right. Most of this battles lies with the non-state actors. We have various groups like the OIDA, and all these groups from the various ethnic groups need to work with other non-state actors to drive this process. And I assure you that if one step at a time. Today we have somebody, an FCT indigenous as a minister. That is one step ahead. We can still, for every administration, let's make sure that we get one single result. We need to have results, one single result at a time. And I tell you, we'll surely get there.
Thank you.
Like I do, know that I have a passion for the struggle of FCT. Because I know that, as a Muslim, they said, and as a student activist from school, they say, an injury to one is an injury to all. It must not affect you before you know that this man is injured and you should feel the pain with it. I have been here and I'm a student of political science. I read political science in school and I played politics in school, and I know that democracy, as it is described, that it is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So if that is what democracy is, why should we have a democratic society where some people are also not part of the democracy? And that is what I see in Abuja. And I say it everywhere I go. I say, the most marginalized people in this country, I don't know of the world because I've not been to everywhere in the world, in this country is the FCT people. They have been so marginalized to the point that they have taken away their fundamental rights. And that, even the Constitution, is against the law. And it's something that we should challenge. And some time ago, I was talking with some FCT people. I said, what have I always advised the FCT people is, look, whole education. Send your children to school. Let them go and be professionals, lawyers. In fact, we should have more than.
I want you to throw light to how the 9 indigenous tribes. Why I'm giving you this question is this. You have been interfacing, you have been interacting, you have been sitting on this issue that bedevil the indigenous people of FCT.
Thank you very much for this rare opportunity to be part of wonderful people who will speak to some issues. I'm Honorable Musa, the former commissioner. I think what this question intends to achieve is to speak to issues that concern our unity as a people. Because without this unity, we will achieve barely nothing. And it's really a very serious problem. Before I go straight to that question, because I'm not sure if I'll have this opportunity again, I want to add my voice to some of the issues our well-capable discussants have thrown so much light on. Issue that has to do with this thing called Constitution. As much as we worry ourselves to say it's not a perfect document, it's not favoring FCT people and all that, sometimes I take a little digression to that kind of narrative and discussion. That Constitution you see, 1999 Constitution, as imperfect as it is, I say it with loud voice any day, any time, that if 60% of it is implemented, we will not have the problem we have today in Nigeria and even in the FCT. The 299 here succinctly adumbrated with some explanation to it that said FCT should be treated as a state. And it's captured in that Constitution. So you ask yourself, are we treated as a state? That means we are acting in abeyance, in aberration to the Constitution. So why not implement that portion? And the minister we have today from the FCT, Right Honorable Gisalo, Minister Special Duty, he was appointed 2 years back as minister. So you ask yourself, since 1999, what stops them from giving minister to the people of this? Did they amend the Constitution before giving Gisalo minister? No. So it means people are deliberately suppressing us, emasculating our rights that is contained in that same Constitution. Come back to the rights that is enshrined in the Constitution. The rights of citizens. Talking about discrimination, talking about the right to own properties, movable and immovable. Do we enjoy that right? And it is still in that same Constitution. So if this Constitution that we have, and we call it perfect, is to be implemented 60%, a lot of things will have given way, and then we'll have our way. So what I will still say on that is the issue that you have asked about, the unity, concerted effort of being united. You see, one thing with history is such that it's like an elephant, where people describe it from the ankle, they see it. If you are at the back of the elephant, you say it has long tail, this and that, because you are not seeing the front of it. So mostly about history is like elephant, where people describe it the way it is. So people give reason to favor them when it comes to issue of we are the owner of this land, we are not the owner of this land. I'm sure how we came up with this 9 indigenous tribes has been from the Abuja report that he mentioned. Because the Abuja committee came into this area to solve.
Thank you so much for all your contributions.
On a lighter note, I was a democratic leader.
Osama, by where my father comes from. For over 200 years, my grandfather was born here in Gariki village. Not to talk of my father. And even when the Abuja panel came to FCT, we were already in existence between Gariki and Kauru. So there was no way. I know when they would talk with form, field, number of houses, distance, so on and so forth. I want to ask Commissioner, do I heard you saying that what would be good for us when we think of other tribes so that can unify and bring up this thing? Honestly speaking, I want to know where does the house at.
It's a moment that we should tell ourselves our story. We should tell our story to the world. We should let the world know where we are as citizens of this country, Nigeria. We should tell the stories based on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We're not talking out of context, but what is in the books and what is practicable in this country to the indigenous people.
Let's go and ponder. Let's go and think the best way out. You have contacts, let's put it on the table. You have the finances, please don't be too selfish with it. Let's send the right people to speak, to look and talk. I appreciate each and every one of you that has been here. You spent your time with us, not because you don't have anything doing, but for the love you have for FCT. And I pray you all go back to your various destinations.